Thanks very much, gents, and welcome back. Vici Gaming taking on Jingdong this time around, and for Vici Gaming, they've kicked things off like a dead leper's head with the Gangplank, the Camille, and the Zaya taken off the board, and the Vladimir, Rise, and Azir, and of course EasyHoon will never get his Azir.
Never in a draft. And both of these two teams, they're looking to pick up more wins, especially as we get closer and closer to playoffs. Vici more than Jingdong. This could be a good game to actually start it off in. They've started with the Olaf, which can either go top or jungle. Jungle Olaf with Predator has been seen as a very worthy adversary. But Jingdong, it might look like they're going for the dive comp of dreams.
So already those are two strong initiation fronts with the Galio, with the Zac, and from Jingdong, especially in the past, these aggressive compositions have worked out for them.
Well, all you need to do is slingshot in a Zac and then immediately follow it up with the Galio ultimate. Whoever is standing within the blast radius will get annihilated, as you would have to assume. But it's not all doom and gloom, because Vici Gaming, they got a very strong pick, and immediately they're following it up with one of Martin's signature champions in the Tristana.
So, going around with that Revolution, and Tristana has been rising and rising ever since 8.1, and an AD carry that hasn't fallen out of sorts. Can we pair that up with a mid laner that maybe has a little bit? And EasyHoon running out of options. He's had 3 champions taken away from his pool, and maybe going for something like the B tier will have to come a little bit later, but the Alistar is locked in for Caveman.
You have to imagine that if he does want to pick up something, then it would be later on in the rotations, because you need to secure your bottom lane right now. Alistar, of course, extremely strong. Pushing it over to Jingdong, they either have to pick their ADC or support, lest they want it to get banned away, and they do in the Braum.
Second ban phase, Braum getting locked in, will actually just match up to the Alistar. And something from Mao I don't think we've seen quite enough, especially when we consider that in the past, Jingdong, the bottom lane, has had a bit of focus, but it's always been about Clid. Again, reiterating on that one a little bit later, Jingdong in second ban phase may still want to target away EasyHoon, and they've already begun with Corki.
Yeah, I mean, EasyHoon just isn't going to have a comfortable life in any game. You would have to imagine. EasyHoon is one of those players, you know, obviously he's been all the way to World Finals, he's won World Finals on a team, and yeah, you just have to take away every single champion that could potentially suit him. He already most reasonably knows that he's going against a Galio, so the counter pick potential isn't too low. Mid laners are extremely abundant, and if you wanted to pick an AP top laner and put Olaf into the jungle, it doesn't even mean that he has to be restricted to go on an AP champion in the second rotation.
Nah, taken away as well. You saw that Cogmore was directed at GRD. And for Martin especially, has had a rough couple of weeks, I guess, or rough split so far. 1-11 for Vici Gaming, but the bottom lane for Vici has shown some big quality and some signs of life. Varus getting taken off the board, trying to restrict as much as they can, but this is a pick that has had a lot of success and trying to win out that laning phase before anything can happen with the Tristana.
You see, I'd actually have to push back against that statement. We can actually say that bottom lanes around the entire LPL, have looked extremely potent, but Vici's one has not looked like a place that they can necessarily play around. Obviously, EasyHoon is one of the people who have been opening up the map, but the bottom lane has really looked like it has slumped, and it's really up to Swift to make sure that he can pull this team together, because if he can't, one winning lane is not enough for this team composition.
And already having the Olaf in this comp, there's going to be a lot of engage, no gap closed, but of course the speed is always going to be something that you're going to be scared of. And whether Vici Gaming go for something maybe like the Shen up in the top lane, or getting EasyHoon selected, I mean, this is going to come through anyway. So I feel like it will be a Shen, that one gets locked in, and now for EasyHoon, I mean, he doesn't have many options left.
No, EasyHoon, he could just pick up something extremely safe, like the Talia is always open. They could go for double roaming ultimates in the TF, like he's hovering a whole lot. It would be a left of field pick, but I wouldn't be too upset with the Hysterics. I think that it would be very fitting for this composition, especially going to a Caitlyn who, after she burns a 90 caliber net, has nothing. But nope, it's 100-0 Soul Flare Karma.
Well, picking Karma up, and it's the only issue is, how do you shut down a Karma in the mid lane? Well, she's so passive, she's always going to be back. Who can get through? You've already got the Galio, I guess, so screw that. I'm used to seeing Galio up in the top lane. That's what happens when you play a little bit too much solo queue. It's a Fiora instead, and that'll be a Fiora versus a Shen.
That's going to be an extremely tricky lane to deal with. It is one of the hardest counters to Shen, so you would imagine that Lung would have an extremely difficult time. As soon as he gets level 6, he'll be furiously calling out to his team, please make a play on the other side of the map so I can leave this torture that is solo laning against a Fiora and hopefully make something good of himself. However, pre-level 6, he has a few tools in his kit to trade back and potentially even win.
Well, VG Gaming, it's the same story that one I repeat every week. I feel like we've done a lot of VG Gaming now, Preacher, and the story's always been, you know, can they deny expectations? Can they get a win? And I think it's past that stage. Can they stay safe? Can they make sure that they're not really being tossed aside in the LPL? Because 1-11, one of the lowest scoring teams, one of the teams that just do not have any weight on their shoulders right now because it's so hard for them to climb back up.
And more to the point, it's up to Vici to really get themselves another winning lane. Easy Hoon, you can always imagine that he'll be fine by himself, but it's the side lanes that you need to put a lot of priority on. Looking at the top lane or their bottom lane as well, one of those two needs to win along with Easy Hoon if they want to bust the map wide open. And every single game that they've lost, the reoccurring trend is them not winning the side lanes and not having any pressure to move around the map, losing the jungle.
Well, for Jingdong, no, another point out on the board, going neck and neck if they win this series. Currently sitting 5-6, and Jingdong are a team that have really not been in the limelight enough. At the start of this split, we were talking about them being a potential uprising, but now it's settled out, and we've got the IGs, we've got the top teams that are working their way up. And Jingdong compared to a team like IG, RNG, WE, at the moment, you'd have to say, no, maybe not in the same skill class, but there's more questions we can ask in their showcase against Vici Gaming. Can they clean this one up, or is Vici going to give them a run for their money? We're about to find out as we jump into Game 1 and head on to Summoner's Rift. I'd give you a Twitter poll, but you know, it's just not in the cards. Not this time around anyway. Drive at me, Preacher.
Here we go. Vroom vroom, beep beep.
Toot toot. Where is it? No, I forget. Maybe that was a little bit old. Jumping into Game 1 now. On to Summoner's Rift for another compelling moment for VG Gaming.
That was actually quite loud.
That was aggressive.
I mean, Jingdong actually sounds like it's got the majority of the crowd here. A whole lot of the Chinese fans, they would love to use Jingdong as a personal, purchasing power online. It is, of course, the Chinese equivalent to the likes of Amazon, to the likes of eBay. You know, you purchase your items online. I know that a certain LPL caster has got himself into a little bit of trouble with Jingdong, but otherwise, yeah, a whole lot of fans to be gained from that.
Name is pointing out. It's what do you call it, snitching? That's right.
I didn't say anything.
Well, you can see the reason we find ourselves with a bit of an Olaf meta building up. The Predator has been picked up, and there's nothing really else you would go. But that is, you know, it's been pretty exciting to watch. I mean, this adaptation coming into 8.3, 8.4. Let's see where Swift goes first, because Clid, we know he's going to be trying to impact that mid lane bright and early.
And it also forces Swift to make a whole lot of early plays, which I like coming into Vici in general, because the problem that Vici has always had is Swift being so passive and Swift wanting to make these smart plays. He often foregoes actually getting his lanes ahead. So the fact that he's gone with Predator means that if he doesn't gank any of the lanes, then he's just wasting his keystone. So it puts him onto the forward position and it forces him to make a play.
Unfortunately, we do have a pause, so Vici and Jingdong are going to have to hold out. For some reason, the poll was 56% towards Vici, and I think that's confidence if we've ever seen it. We see the exact same graphic twice. That's nice. But for Jingdong, I mean, this is Clid's specialty, right? He picks up the Zac, and you expect him to make early pressure plays mid. That's where he's been in the past. It's where Jingdong have put their focus. And against Easy Hoon, who maybe is probably the best player, probably is the best player in VG Gaming, most likely is, then that's where you want to focus.
It kind of feels like the jobs and the onuses have been switched in this matchup, because usually you would imagine that he would be the one making plays, he would be the one going forward, especially as a Zac. But given the fact that he's into an Olaf with Predator no less, he's actually on the reactive. And in all honesty, into this matchup, you would just be waiting for the Olaf to gank, and if you read him correctly, if you know where he's going to be, then you also react with a counter gank, because if a Zac can get into a situation where an Olaf has used Predator in, there's no way that an Olaf can escape, and it's almost a kill secured, especially before level 6, before he gets his ultimate and he gets to run through all that CC.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you're talking about level 6, I think Olaf won't be too scared, but that's more talk about Clid being there nice and early. Lane, we haven't really talked about that. I mean, the Shen versus Fiora, this is painful for a Shen preacher. I know you know this best. That Fiora is the one champion that can make Shen not really have an impact in this game.
And more to the point, Zoom knows this as well, and you can see it reflected in his keystones. He's gone for the Kleptomancy, which means that every single Q that he procs onto Lung, he's just going to get more and more gold, which can accelerate him to either his Ravenous Hydra or his Trinity Force, whichever one he chooses to go for first. And both of those things are huge punishing factors, and the fact that Fiora generally has a very late first item power spike is negated, because she gets more or less of a free lane.
Especially when you consider that for Zoom, he's started Coin as well, and making sure those resources are optimized. VG Gaming's top laner, a little bit of focus from Fiora, but the more levels that go on, the more time that progresses, Zoom still going to have a better time. Swift actually invading the red buff now. This is not watered out, but it was seen going into the jungle, and they know Swift is here.
And they're all starting to collapse hysterics. This is looking pretty dangerous, and Caveman is here to help him, but it might not be enough.
Big knock up the Ignites there as well. Remember, Clid has the passive, the slow onto Swift. Here comes Yagao. Martin off the side trying to provide support, but it's a 4 versus 3 till Easy Hoon gets here. He's a little bit slow off the bat, and Caveman has to flash away. Clid getting the slow, not the second touch. Yagao too far forward, the jump in. Martin, aggressive as all heck, does get first blood, gets the reset, flashes out. Very good shot calling. VG Gaming walking away. A 1-for-1 trade at the end of the day with the help of GRD. Martin now going to get jumped on. Doesn't have the jump available for quite some time. Martin walking away. 3 members. Lamau, when is he coming in? I'm so sorry. K-Man gets the knock up. Mao comes back in as well. The stun will be here. And it ends up being a 2-for-1 trade.
So, Jingdong managed to pick up after the back foot of that, but it was all initiated by Vici, and you got to give MVP to Martin for playing out the early part of that fight so well. Uses the heal in order to save Caveman from falling down, and then W's in without the full knowledge that he can just get 100% to 0. Then W's out after the second auto attack secures the kill and flashes away. I mean, he played that pretty well, and Caveman just had to be the sacrificial lamb to make sure that this Tristana got out safe.
Well, Jingdong finding themselves up a bit in the early part of the game, but it was good ward control. You saw that Scuttle was the only thing that was taken. That was the only reason Clid knew Swift was going through, and Swift maybe just playing too aggressive for his own good.
It kind of feels that way, and more to the point, he's already picked up his boost with Predator. Not really sure what he's doing trying to live in Clid's jungle. It's not really an optimal place for this Olaf, and we mentioned before he gets his ultimate, it's a really tough situation, especially invading the bottom side, where he's into a Zac, and he's also into a Braum. Could be deadly, but Yagao is caught out.
Caught out once again. Yagao actually going to find 3 members on top of him, and for Jingdong, maybe they're making the same mistake. As I say that, Swift is down again, Yagao lives, and on the wrong side of Summoner's Rift now, Easy Hoon finds himself. No mana, no follow-up, but once more, Swift is in the grave.
And that's what we were looking for from Clid. Just the counter-ganking potential from this Zac. You don't normally see it because Zac's Elastic Slingshot allows him to make so many plays, but if you just deny this Olaf away, there is no way that Swift can make a play. And I think that this is more proof that the meta knowledge of Clid, just knowing where Swift is moving around with the wards, or even just with assumptions because of the camps that are being taken, because of that Rift Scuttle like you mentioned, is all working towards his favor and denying away Swift from making a huge impact.
Seems to be the same old story with VG Gaming. Just getting caught out where they don't belong. Clid now 2-0 on this Zac, and Bammy Cinder, that'll soon turn into the Cinder Hulk and the first item of the game. And even though Eye of the Watchers has picked up, it's a cheap item for the side of Easy Hoon, but he's another person who hasn't had much impact, and VG Gaming maybe just overestimating these fights, and Yagao's able to do things like this.
Yeah, Yagao's now trying to get a whole lot of vision for himself. I mean, he clears these waves really fast. All he needs to do is use 2 Qs on any single wave. The caster minions are guaranteed to die. The melee is pretty much just with one of his autos. You touched on Easy Hoon rushing Eye of the Watchers, and I wanted to sort of riff off that a little bit, because if you take a look at Zoom on the top side of Jingdong. He started with the coin, like you mentioned. And the reason for that is because vision has risen so much in priority. So a whole lot of these solo laners, you would have to imagine, are trying to get these support starting items just so that they can get some vision down on the map, just so they can make up for what was lost in the Sightstone removal. Here comes Swift.
Swift has popped, no, I was going to say he's popped the ghost, but why is he so fast?
Predator.
That's the one. Close enough, but Swift going to be spotted out immediately, so yeah, small cooldown, price to pay. He's now in Clid's side of the jungle
No,
again.
Clid! What are you doing, Swift? You just saw Clid. He knows for certain that you're doing this. This is brave. He's going ham.
Level 5 versus level 6 Olaf. Level 6 Olaf does have the ultimate Swift over the wall. Swift doesn't get the blue buff. Sorry, yes he does. In fact, it's a red buff all over the shop today. Jingdong not going to react to this one though. So Swift finally getting a free pass.
I mean, it kind of looked like Zoom wasn't brave enough to help out his jungler in that situation. Just wanted to continue bullying out the Shen in the top lane. But without any sort of help at all, the level 6 smite versus level 5 smite, if Swift managed to time it perfectly, was guaranteed for him. And indeed, he picked up that red and forced Clid out of his own jungle. So this is actually Swift doing Swift things, despite the fact that his champion pool, his champion pick and build hasn't necessarily gone towards his favor.
Well, slow action after a couple of kills, and Jingdong still holding an advantage in this first game. For two teams that have been struggling in little bits, one more than the other. You can see that there's similar traits coming through. Excuse me, Clid still level behind Preacher.
He hasn't got his ultimate, and that could be a real big worry. I mean, there are a lot of immobiles on the side of Vici. If Shen uses his dash inwards, there's no way that he can get out of your ulti. Similarly with Karma, if she uses her Mantra E, it means there's just no way to get out of a situation. But instead, it's going to be very difficult for Clid. He lost out on his red, which is a whole lot of experience, as well as the buff itself. He's still level 5, and it's nearly 10 minutes into this game. He needs to catch up fast.
Well, there's nothing for him to clear right now. Clid only has the Raptors, and that's where he will be progressing. Swift will find himself an advantage, and even though he's been called out twice now, he is 2 levels up, soon to be just 1. But Swift able to have a bigger clear speed, able to walk around the map. Maybe he can transition that to into an impact. Cloud, first dragon, sitting there and waiting. And Loong actually looking confident against the Fiora matchup. That's interesting. He'll zoom and force him out. Remember, ultimate available for both top laners now.
Except the ultimate does, of course, favor the Fiora. It was the level 6 mark where she really starts regaining control of this lane. But I actually quite like the counter build from Loong. I mean, he's got his Barmies, he's got his Brambles vest, he's got his Titanic, he's got his Tiamat, sorry, I'm all over the shop as well. And it just means he's able to trade so much better. But in bottom lane, I don't think this is going to result in anything.
Well, Caveman getting stunned up, and even though it won't, a bit of trade back and forth. And that's kind of the annoying thing when you watch a Caitlyn and Tristana go at it, both with similar ranges by that level 6 mark. And with GRD, I personally haven't really seen enough of him this split. 10 CS ahead, holding the laning phase out strong with that 1-0-1 score. It's a good start.
Of course, it is a Caitlyn lane, though, so you can never give too much praise for it, just saying you managed to win out this lane through mechanics alone. It was through champion select, and Caitlyn's more or less always guaranteed to win the laning phase portion, but it's really what they do after laning phase. And into a Tristana, this might be one of the harder matchups, because the one strategy that you have, the macro strategy at the very least with Caitlyn, is you bust down your first turret because you've just got so much control over your lane, and then you immediately rotate to top, then to mid, and you get 3 turrets for not only yourself, but also for the rest of your entire team. And the fact that he's having a hard time into the explosive shot of Tristana, passively being able to push back on all of these minions, means that strategy is going to be delayed very heavily.
Well, I think it's something we can always put a testament to that Caitlyn will soldier on anyway. And it's about moving into that mid-game phase when you have a team like Jingdong do. You see a lot of flanking potential, and that's going to be from Zoom. The engage strong as ever, and there's so many damage sources. EasyHoon may have been caught out, but the collapse is coming down. Swift is so damn fast. Flashing away. GRD, I'm not sure he's going to be able to get out of this one. Stand United as well to help Swift, and Martin picking up the kill. Mal has nowhere to go. It's 4 members underneath this turret. Lung's able to take it up, but Galio, the heroic entrance, maybe delays a little bit. Vici Gaming, all 5 members bot, and they get a kill.
Nonetheless, it was GRD going down. You can't do much when an Olaf is running straight at you with Predator and his ultimate. No way to disable him. It's like a Master Yi ult, but better. And now, in the bottom lane, they don't manage to get the turret, but the fact that they finally started swinging bot lane towards Vici Gaming's favor, that was one of the win conditions that we stipulated at the start of this game, so I'm quite happy to see them do so. Let's see what they do from this lead, because it's 2-0 on the Tristana. It's already an Affinity Edge, just bought outright from the pickaxe that she had from the first back, and this is going to be a very dominant lane.
Well, there has been a lot of pressure down on that bottom side, and a very physical approach from Jingdong as they've tried to defend themselves off of that bottom lane turret, of that bottom side jungle. Swift has just been caught up in so many different fights and losing more than he's winning, but now he's most definitely hotline. I mean, this Olaf is showing us that it doesn't matter if you fall behind. Olaf is Olaf in this early part of the game, and with Predator, with this huge mobility spike that he now has, I fear that maybe Swift is just moments away from running over Jingdong in a very explosive way.
I mean, he's level 8. Generally, Olafs fall off when they get to about level 13 because they've maxed out their Q, they've maxed out their E, and also they've got their Righteous Glory that allows them to run into the middle of the enemy team even faster than they normally do. So watch out for that one. All the way for the next 5 levels for the 2 junglers, there's got to be a decisive advantage for Swift. And it's up to Clid to really hold out until then, which is easier said than done, because waiting until level 13 means that you're waiting for the good 2/3 of the game before you can necessarily start making plays on the map. That could be a definite punishing factor for Clid, who usually gets onto the map really soon.
Well, Clid has been really the only person I've been focusing on as of late, and he's now going to join this bottom side. It's 3 versus 2. This is very ambitious, but Vici Gaming have a bit of backup. It's a 4 versus 3 now. And that turret next wave could just be going down. What do Vici Gaming do? Is Cloud Drake worth it? Or now that the rotations come from the rest of Jingdong, a 4 versus 4? I don't feel like they want to take this one.
Cloud's much more worth it now than it was before. Of course, you get a little bit of movement speed in combat, so it is something that they could potentially turn their eyes towards, but they are still looking for the first turret. I mean, that's one of the strongest, and Lung, he might be in trouble.
It's forced the engage, very ambitious Fiora from Zoom, the teleport coming through. Is Lung going to survive? And that's enough to deter him. Zoom's out of there. Swift now pushes the Predator straight to the limit. It's parried, but he's still slow, and Swift has another axe for you, and another one about to come down. Zoom should drop, and it goes over to Easy Hoon, with Vici Gaming starting to rotate quick.
Zoom tried to dive Lung, but Lung's W prevented 2 of his vitals from being procced, which means the ultimate didn't fully go off for Zoom. The play was still good from Jingdong though, because what they wanted to do with the TP from Yagal was get first brick. They managed to do it, and now that's sort of de-escalated the priority of bottom lane falling. They don't really mind if they lose their turret in bottom lane, because they already got first brick over on top side, and more to the point, over to their 2 solo laners, which could definitely benefit over Martin.
So how do Vici Gaming push this lead further? Because Jingdong still lead by gold, but now that Swift has been involved and managed to spread his resources down to that bottom lane and mid as well, I'd like to say Vici are starting to snowball, starting to progress in this game. But as we've seen with Vici Gaming before, it's one dull move and that could be it. And now eyes are on Swift. What else can he influence? Where's he going next?
All eyes on him, and more importantly, all eyes on Clid as well, because he needs to always be there to counter gank. He's already done fairly well for himself in the game, but he needs to keep up the heat and just wait until 4 more levels before he can start making proactive plays as opposed to defensive reactive plays. The downside of this is that every single time you do that, you're 1 step behind, and it's already exemplified in Vici Gaming. Picking up the dragon, there's no way that you can contest if you don't know that your opponents are going for it first.
Well, first cloud, as you said, goes over to Vici Gaming, and more objectives coming off the board. Rift Herald maybe going to be just as important here for Clid and Zoom. They know Easy Hoon is approaching in, and now Easy Hoon knows they're doing the Rift Herald. Zoom out of there as well with Clid, and Easy Hoon having big pressure on this map. I mean, the first 5 minutes when they all started fighting, EasyHoon was a bit slow, but ever since then, he's picked up the pace and he's quite smart and quite fast to these upcoming plays.
And it's great punishment for Jingdong, who were just doing the Rift Herald. Although, the dive.
That was a waste of an ultimate, but EasyHoon still caught, flashes away, hit up by the Glacial Fissure. Olaf is apparently in a fit of rage, one that he can't capitalize on. VG Gaming pull the trigger and just as quickly pull it off.
Just about to say, after all is disengaged, that was a very nice pushback from EasyHoon to get the side of Jingdong off of the Rift Herald, because if they manage to get that Rift Herald, it would give them the ability to open mid lane turret wide, and if they manage to do so, then that could be one of the avenues that they could then exploit VG Gaming from, because without mid lane being down, it's very hard to ever get it down, because EasyHoon could just clear these waves for days, and the only objective afterwards that can help you is the Baron. So it all just really did favor VG Gaming for the past few minutes.
Second item, Power Spike's coming on board. Rod of Age is almost fully stacked up for Yagao, and he's taking no damage from EasyHoon, exactly how you like to see it. The Ardent Sensor coming into EasyHoon mid. I mean, that is an item we don't often see, but then again, we don't often see a Karma lane either. And going up against Yagao, I mean, EasyHoon's role is not to damage, it's not to pop this Galio, simply to supplement and support. Right now, Swift is the one doing damage, Martin's the one doing damage. In all game, we're going to be watching Martin again. Swift, that's the second time he's stolen red.
It's guaranteed. Oh, it wasn't guaranteed at the time. Excuse me. I thought that he was one level higher, but nonetheless, Zoom, he wants this.
Grand challenge back onto Lung. He's going to wait for this field to go down and does. One more hit, but against the wall. Yagao now getting the taunt. Lung still goes down. And Zoom picking up another kill. Well, sorry, his first kill, but another kill for Jingdong. Meanwhile, VG Gaming then pick up the Herald.
And Vici neutralizing the situation on the top side is almost worth the death from Lung, because you can always imagine that the Rift Herald is effectively one turret in the bank, but a kill and the turret down the bottom side no longer worth. Zoom doing a whole lot of good work for himself.
Oh, Rift Herald was dropped very ambitiously in the mid lane. That should be easily taken down.
0 damage.
Wait for it.
Oh no! Oh no! Okay, it did like
garbage.
It did 50 damage.
Absolutely not worth. Jingdong, hold on. First turret was taken down ages ago, but it was well responded by Jingdong, and top was broken, mid still waiting to be broken for both of these teams. And now we wait, because Vici Gaming look anxious to pull this trigger, especially when you have almost a 2-item Tristana.
Yeah, and it feels as if Vici Gaming is in a better position to break mid turret than Jingdong, because Jingdong, they have no real way of pushing it against EasyHoon. He can just clear every single wave that comes at him, so it really is up to Vici Gaming to make these proactive plays, and you can only imagine with Baron being on the board that if they break down this mid lane, then they get a whole lot of control for themselves. And looking at the way that things stand, gold is remarkably even between those two, so map pressure could be the tipping point.
Nonetheless, it's a game of Titanic Hydra for Lung, and this is what you rarely see. I mean, when you go against Zoom, who can push so quickly, the Shen wants to push right back. 20 minutes in now, and gold is dead even. Baron's up. Ocean Drake going to be next to follow suit. And Lung hasn't used the ultimate a couple of times now, but we haven't seen big game-breaking plays that has put Vici Gaming all the way ahead. And again, this is very, very dominant of Vici, that, they make some good moves, but mechanically as a team, are they all there?
And it looks as if there are two very nice delivery systems for the side of Vici. You've got the Olaf, who can run at people at full speed. You've also got Caveman, who can WQ and just get into the middle of the enemy team. But neither of those two have been the ultimate priorities for Lung. So until they actually make that play, it's very difficult to say what can necessarily happen. But the fact that bottom lane is situated in mid, and the Caitlyn and Braum are defending for Jingdong, that could potentially be an avenue of play for Caveman if he decides to play it smart. He's certainly got the trigger, and there's not a whole lot of damage combined between the Shen ultimate and his own ultimate waiting to go back onto him. It's really up to Jingdong to see if they get baited by such a strategy.
Well, they're still able to defend, especially when 4 members come a knock, and Martin getting a bit of damage off. That next wave is going to crash hard. And Vici Gaming, this is what I always ask. Are they going to commit? Are they going to stay to most probably the best play they have at the moment? Swift going to be spotted out by a ward. Zoom now trying to bait in as well. There's a big fan from Vici Gaming. Not being matched by Jingdong. 4 members strong mid. And this is a problem for Martin as well. Defending. A 3 versus 4. Swift lurks on the side. Seems to be a very slow-paced game. Zoom waiting to pop that grand challenge again. Ocean Drake, however, will be started by Jingdong.
Here's the Predator, though. Look at that movement speed. Swift, he just doesn't care.
Swift runs into the Dragon. Jingdong pacing on the outskirt. And it's a question of whether Jingdong really want to challenge for this one because they've got the zone control. Vici Gaming is a 5-man unit. Jingdong grouped as 4. Yagao on the side. Vici probably wondering where he is. They go in immediately. The heroic entrance going to get a 3-man knock-up. Swift does get the kill, but will go down to Zoom as a response. Cleared, walks all the way away. Jingdong are not winning this fight. In fact, this could be detrimental. Could open up the base if Vici Gaming. Big man knock-up. That's what it was. Zoom, no ultimate to speak of. Tries to kite back and peel away, but Mao goes down. Next one, going to be the Galio, and Vici Gaming are starting to clean house. Jingdong, 2 spread thin. And Vici Gaming will find this last kill with 4 members for 1.
And honestly, there was no way that Jingdong could have killed Martin. Combined between the protection of the ultimate that Lung didn't even need to use on his ultimate, and also Easy Hoon moving him away with the shield, Martin was just free hitting throughout that entire fight. So Vici Gaming, they played their team comp almost perfectly, and now they set their eyes on the Baron very early into the game.
I mean, this is a 3-man Baron now with the Stand United going to be 4, and Swift is shortly behind. Zoom approaching the outskirts of this pit at 5,000 health now. Vici Gaming look comfortable. The teleport's here. They really want to challenge this one, and Yagal's going to be the one coming in at 1k health. It's going down, but it goes down to Swift, and Vici secure it nicely. Who can get out of the pit, however, because 3 members, they're spread off from the rest of Vici Gaming. It's now just Swift. He has the Predator in. And this is going to be the jungler going down from Vici. Now can they make the great escape?
He's a sacrificial lamb. Zoom, he is chasing. I don't think Martin can get out.
Well, Easy Hoon, Martin, great ultimate. Zoom doesn't use the repel. No, what do we call it?
Riposte.
Riposte, that's the one. But Vici Gaming, 4 members with the Baron. So, definitely call that worth.
Yeah, I mean, Swift had to be the only person to die. He caught 3 members by himself, so it meant that everybody else could get out to safety. And Lung... Oh! He dodged
No! Oh my god, Lung gets out. He wasn't in the brush, wasn't seen by the ward, and cleared, got him on the outskirt of his body. Very well played by Lung.
Oh, that's a feels bad man moment. You're not shooting one way, you're shooting the other. You overcompensate and you don't get the Shen. Lung manages to get out, and it's still going to be 4 members on Vici Gaming with Baron. More to the point, the fact that Lung got out is really good for Vici because it means that he can split push once more. His teleport is up and his Stand United is half of the way across, and he'll have Baron to really prop up all of these minions as he rolls along.
25 minutes in the game and Vici taking the lead. Where are they going to take this Baron buff? Zoom down to the bottom lane. He's backing away and there'll be no collapse from Vici Gaming. At the moment, Vici not using it. Baron only got a minute 50 remaining. Going to wait for that bottom lane to pressure up, and Vici feel like this is the way they're going to go into the bottom lane turret and try and collapse into that base. But 3 members running a split 1-3-1 that doesn't have a 1 aspect. Simple 3-2. And maybe the bottom lane back on the menu.
Yeah, not too soon what they're doing. I mean, it could very easily be a 1-4. That could be very effective for Vici. But instead they move, they rotate, and it's going to be a 4-man in bottom lane without Easy Hoon. Let's see how it pays off for them.
First turret hits the ground. 5k gold lead. And Easy Hoon moves mid, and Jingdong on the defensive. Things aren't looking good for them. And Clid's still posturing around like he wants an engage. This is the issue with Jingdong right now, is that the wave clear is there. But it's so early in the game, when you get a Baron before the 30-minute mark, there's not much hope in clearing it.
Well, when they're being sieged, Zoom does literally nothing. He cannot defend, and more to the point, the only person who can clear these Baron minions is GRD. So if he steps a little bit too far forward, there are so many engage potentials on Vici Gaming. It has to be protect the Caitlyn composition for Jingdong all the way until Baron runs out. They defended fairly well, but 2 turrets falling for the side of Vici is extremely good, and it doesn't look like they're going to let up despite the fact that Baron's out really soon.
Martin is going to sit in the side lane up here, and I think Swift is rotating up, looking to shadow him. Vici Gaming, the Baron's about to run out. They got 1 turret, or maybe 2. 2 turrets. And they're in a 5k gold lead, so they made small use of it, but nothing game-breaking again, and it's Jingdong who will be forced to kind of respond to how Vici Gaming are playing here, and they're playing aggressive. They've got 3 items pretty much on everyone now. For Vici, a team that is so far behind in the LPL, Jingdong, they're really not showing their distinguishing skill, because Jingdong, they're sitting in the middle of the pack, and Vici so far down. Maybe Jingdong have had a good run.
Well, it kind of looks as if the tipping point is slowly about to come for this team. Cleared, he has got level 12, nearly level 13, and that is really the point in the game in which Jingdong can stop defending and start pressing the issue. Whenever they see people caught out from Vici Gaming, that is really their cue to engage. But if they don't engage, this almost looks as if it's a role reversal of the 2 teams, where Vici Gaming, they are known to be the team that doesn't necessarily make any proactive plays. It's now the impetus on Jingdong, and similarly with Jingdong, they're usually known as this team who's extremely good at sieging, but looks like shoes on the other foot as Vici Gaming is pushing closer, wave after wave, towards the base.
Well, Vici still don't know what to do just yet. Shen in the side lane, 4 members mid. Really not forcing the engage. They've got 2 Drakes. I mean, you've got a Shen with Warmogs and Ocean Drake. He's able to now split push against Zoom, and Zoom's level 16, so is Lung. Level 3 Grand Challenge, that is when Shen gets popped from, 10,000 to 0. With the Warmogs though, direct counter to Fiora, you can see that the general damage now from Zoom is non-existent.
Yeah, Zoom's going to find it very hard. I mean, the Warmogs doesn't actually help that much into a Fiora because her passive works on percentage health, and the fact that it only gives you HP actually means that she will be able to rip through it more or less the exact same as the situation before. It's really only the Thornmail that's helping out Lung more than anything else in this side lane. It'll allow him to get out with his ultimate or with a teleport, but if he wants to fight directly with Zoom, then he'll just get destroyed. So you need to keep your eyes on Zoom in the side lane, pushing the issue onto Lung all the time, and to see if Vici know this and move Swift down, or even EasyHoon to try and help out the Shen in this very difficult 1v1.
Baron going to be up in another minute, and we're onto the dance again. Mountain Drake coming forward as well. It's been a rather slow first game, and I think we've said this about Vici Gaming before, that they are one of the slowest teams. Not like WE where you say, ooh, slow and methodical. You say Vici Gaming is slow because to make a decision, what reaction are you going to make? That's really the Vici Gaming. 30 seconds left. Baron will be up, and there'll be a big fight around this one.
Yeah, I mean, Baron's the next big objective. You can already see that Lumao is trying to get some vision down for his team, but it's really hard because the Baron pit naturally favors blue side. It's opened up towards that part of the map, and they get so much pressure over it, although Caveman is caught.
But there's no damage here, Preacher, and Jingdong. It's communication. Well, we would have seen maybe a kill onto Caveman, the slow there. Solar Flare not going to hit. Baron now up and available, and Martin has to be careful where he walks.
That was one auto on the clear. This got quarter health.
At this stage of the game, Caveman comes in strong. Vici Gaming now finally pushing the trigger, and Caveman has just been brought back. The heroic entrance will deny a lot of damage, but in the backline, Swift is taking no damage. He gets the slow. Yagao, this is not good for Jingdong whatsoever. Vici Gaming having not losing anyone. Jingdong will go down. They lose a second member. The reset is here. Martin is cleaning house. Mao over the side. He flushes the wall. A third, and now a fourth with the help of EasyHoon. That's going to be all the members down except for Zoom, and I think Vici Gaming want to try and push this one in.
What a godlike play from Martin, jumping in, gets retaliated on by Lumao, so then he flashes over, ulties GRD away. I mean, that was just one auto off from being a quadra kill for him, and he immediately opens up the whole base for Vici Gaming. They take down the inhibitor, and they have complete and utter control over this Baron. They should be putting their eyes on as soon as Martin comes back up. So this is the fight that really started. I mean, Caveman going in, sure he might have missed his target, but the fact that he had to burn a flash from GRD means that there is no damage from the backline. You just need to keep your eyes on Martin. There's no way that anybody from Jingdong can attack him. He is frontlining at that point, and even then, people can't stop him. This is the godlike play though. The flash, and the flash over an ulti. It was nearly perfect.
Well, definitely impressed me. And without the headshot, that would have been a quadra kill for Martin. Vici Gaming's bottom lane stepping up. That is almost 10k worth of damage. There's more than Jingdong did combined. Vici Gaming posturing around the Baron, very aggressive from Jingdong despite their position. 7k gold lead, and at 33 minutes in, Vici Gaming might be walking away with a game one, which is very rare to say when you think about Jingdong.
Yeah, I mean, Jingdong, it kind of looks as if they just let the ball slip on this one. They didn't really make the most of their team composition early. Mid, they lost out a whole lot more than they needed to. Caveman, though, this is very aggressive. I mean, the whole team isn't necessarily with him. Lung is off doing Shen things on the other side of the map, just split pushing as usual. And realistically, Vici, they just need to do this slow. They just need to wait until Lung gets to the turret and he applies some extra pressure. Already Zoom has to go back, does have teleport available. Let's see what they make out of this one.
Jingdong waiting to brush. It's like waiting for Thanksgiving. You never know when it's going to come. You're not sure what's going to be served, right? No, bear with me.
All right.
You're not sure what's going to be served. But then you go into that brush and you find out it's a turkey. It's the same as usual. And now this is what we wanted to see. Stand United, big knock up. This Wombo combo from Vici Gaming has been on point. And I have to say, execution-wise, Jingdong have not been on par. But instead for Vici Gaming, cleaning this one up. Seems to be their specialty this game. Another double coming with extra trouble. And Vici Gaming, 3 are down, and they've managed to do it. They look to end the game.
They got their turkey hysterics, and they ate it as well. That was a great engage coming out from Vici, and you know what? This was just the you don't get to play League of Legends game for GRD. Combined between all of them, cleared. He's trying to draw them away, but it doesn't look like it's going to be too much.
Well, I mean, he will, but at the end of the day, the death timers are so large, and next person to be up will be a GRD, but he can't do anything whatsoever. The minions, they're crashing in. And Jingdong, not the greatest game one, but you have to say for Vici Gaming, things are looking up. Another one bites the dust, the Nexus will be there, and suddenly it isn't. And crushed like the dreams of many Jingdong fans in game one, Vici will be up 1-0.
Vici Gaming, they played that comp well. It was the Olaf that just denied away GRD from playing any League of Legends at all. And it was also Lung on the Shen, split pushing as usual, always threatening with the ultimate as well as a teleport. I think that if Vici get a good draft like this, that they can continue their steamroll, but we haven't seen them draft like this before, and it kind of wonders why.
I'll send it back to you guys for that analogy of game number 1.